Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about Milli Vanilli. Now, why do I want to talk about them? Well, a couple events happened this year of 2024 that made me think about them. The first being Frank Farian or Farian. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I'll call him Frank. He's the mastermind behind Milli Vanilli and a few other groups actually. And he passed away in sometime in January of 2024. And I heard about the news maybe a few weeks after, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. Secondly, not too long after, like maybe 2, 3 months after his passing, although not really related, but made me think about Milli Vanilli, was Reggie Bush. Now, for those that don't know who Reggie Bush is, he's a former NFL football player, and he was the Heisman winner from I think 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, mid 2000s. He won the Heisman Trophy for college football, and that's basically like the MVP award for all of college football. And he won that year before going to the NFL and having a very good career in the NFL. Sometime later, when he was playing in the NFL and pros, they found out that he was accepting money, or he accepted money when he was at University of Southern California playing football. And at that time, it was illegal to do so by rule. And they basically took back the Heisman from him because of that. And well, anyway, fast forward till this year, 2024, the Heisman committee returned the Heisman back to Reggie Bush, and I totally agree with that. So, is this scenario related to Milli Vanilli? Well, I don't want to talk about Milli Vanilli from the what happened to them in the late 80s, 90s, the Grammy scenario. You can look that up. That's not what I'm going to be talking about. What I want to talk about is, do they deserve to get that Grammy award back? Now, they won the Best New Artist award, I think in 1990 for it, for the Grammy for Best New Artist. And should they get that award back? Well, it's over 30 years now. It's unbelievable. I was a little kid, and back then, Milli Vanilli was huge. I mean, they were pretty much on every radio, like the top 40 radio stations. You can't miss them. They had four, maybe five. I'd say four, probably four gigantic hits. Like they probably hit number one, and you just could not avoid them. Whether you like the music or not, that's another story. But for sure, they were huge. And as a kid, just listening to them, I'm like, hey, it's not bad. It's the kind of the Euro dance, Euro house music that was kind of popular around that time, maybe a year or two before, and definitely a couple years later. Um, they were pretty. That style of music was very popular. So, and no doubt about it, Milli Vanilli kind of came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you hear nonstop every hour on the radio station you hear one of their songs, and let me see what their big hits were. So that year, preceding the Grammys for Best New Artist that they won, they had Girl You Know It's True, Baby Don't Forget My Number, Blame It on the Rain. Those were monster hits. And the other one, I'm pretty sure, is I'm Gonna Miss You. And that one's more of a slow jam, but anyway, these four songs for sure were just dominating charts. You just can't get away from Milli Vanilli. Now, from that perspective, I'm gonna look up the winners of the candidates for that year for Best New Artist, and what I see is Tony Loke. Tony Loke. Oh goodness. Yeah, it's his debut album had probably had a couple hit songs. Wild Thing for sure. The other one, forgot what that was, but to me it was a minor hit. Indigo Girls. Now, back then, I've never heard of them at that time. I do know them, well, I don't know, at least 5 years later from 1990 that I've heard of them. I don't know about their original album itself, but yeah, definitely at that time, never heard of their music at all. Soul to Soul. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it again, Soul to Soul definitely has one song for sure. Two songs, I'm not exactly sure, but Back to Life was definitely a monster hit, and I love that song too myself. And the other nominee besides those and Milli Vanilli was Nene Cherry. Um, Nene Cherry. I don't know who that person is. I really don't. I just kind of looked this up right now. I don't know if it's related to Eagle Eye Cherry, that had a hit not too long after. Oh, no, actually, it's, I don't know, at least 5, 6 years after. So, and then Milli Vanilli. So, looking at the nominees and assuming these were definitely the best new artists that came out that year, personally, Milli Vanilli. Again, Indigo Girls is probably the only one at that time that I wouldn't know. But if we're just going flat out popularity and hits for a brand new artist, I don't think any of these artists I mentioned could, you know, could go step in step with Milli Vanilli. I really don't. So, anyway, did they deserve to win Best New Artist that year? Looking at these candidates, yeah, I believe so, no doubt about it. Now, here's the the thing I have, and I'm not sure the whole backstory at the time when the Grammys found out that Rob and Fab, I'm pretty sure this guy's Rob and that's Fab, were not only lip singing but obviously didn't sing at all for Milli Vanilli. So I don't know the entire backstory, but I'm confused as to, or not confused, but what's a good word for it? I'm actually surprised that the Grammy committee or whoever is behind trying to figure out these awards, um, like how they may not know that this could happen, and happen being Milli Vanilli. It's just a front for the band. Again, I mentioned Frank Farian in the beginning that he passed away. He actually was very popular, I'd say in the 70s, mid to late 70s. And I didn't even know about Frank until much later when I was watching a movie called, well, I can't even remember. It's a foreign movie. I think it's a either Korean drama series, or it's one of those Asian drama TV series that I was watching, and a song popped up, and it was so catchy I had to find out what that song was. I never heard of it before, but it was really really catchy, and I knew it was, it's got to be a popular song somewhere back then. Otherwise, why would that TV series play it? I don't think it's something that was made for TV. It didn't sound like it. And it turned out that song that I heard was called Ma Baker. And if you know, it's from a group called Boney M. And here's Boney M. Again, this is a popular group from the, I like to say, mid to late 70s, the disco era. Here it is. Boney M. Okay. And when I found that out, I I'm kind of like one of those where I need to find their music, kind of try to listen to it and so forth. And at that time, YouTube wasn't really a thing yet, so I had to find other ways. And it turns out, when I did some research and so forth, it was Boney M, and they had pretty. I don't know why they're kind of like a also Euro house, Euro disco style of music that was very popular over the Atlantic there, but it was for some reason never a hit here. I don't think it was a hit in the U.S. because I definitely never heard of the group, and I do, as a kid, I do listen to a lot of music genres and so forth. So, and Boney M was just never, just never played. So, I don't know if it's the locality that I was in, living in, but even then, I'm pretty sure a lot of people I asked around, and a lot of people never heard of Boney M. So, I'm, but anyway, so Boney M was a group that Frank Farian started back in Germany. I think that was his very first group, or at least his first group that was successful. And they had a string of hits, no doubt. And I really like their stuff too, believe it or not. They actually had a TikTok, was it TikTok? I'm pretty sure. Dance challenge. Rasputin actually is my favorite song from them. Not too long ago, I'd say during the pandemic, 2020, 2021, around there. And everyone was doing the Rasputin dance or something like that. So, anyway, but yeah, I knew Boney M before that, but I did not know until I heard Ma Baker. So, anyway, the reason why I brought Boney M up was not only was it a Frank mastermind of that group as well, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing as Milli Vanilli. That group, there's a guy and three females that kind of front the group, and none of them sang at all. No one sang at all. They're just fronts for that group. Now, technically speaking, there's one person, one lady, who sang backgrounds. The thing is, I don't know to what extent. It's more, to me, it's more of a technicality because the background, if she was singing it background, it's more like humming and things like that. It's not really, I don't know. But from a technicality standpoint, yeah, you can say one of the group members sang on the recording, but believe it or not, Frank was the singer. His vocals were on majority of the tracks for Boney M. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is this guy's done this type of stuff before. Frank, he's created a band. He used people. I'm not sure what was the selection criteria, but they picked these one male, three females, to be the, kind of front the group Boney M. And, they just kind of lip sync on a lot of the shows and so forth. They didn't sing in any of their, at least the ones that were hits. For sure, they weren't the lead singers or anything like that. Yet, they were popular, and I don't think anyone cared. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was known, reading from Boney M and the people who followed them, they kind of knew Boney M, as you saw on the cover there, was not the actual singers, but I don't think anyone really cared. Now, did they win any awards like the Grammys that would kind of be in that consideration of, okay, yeah, sure, they didn't sing, but would they qualify? Good question. I don't know, but for sure, the precedent was set for artists that were showcased but didn't actually sing. And if I was in the Grammy committee being connected to, the music industry and I should know something about Frank and how he does his groups. Because again, Boney M was really popular back then in the across the Atlantic there. But I don't know if it came as a surprise. It shouldn't be. That's what I'm getting at. If I was the committee and Milli Vanilli popped up, and knowing that it was backed by Frank, first thing would come to mind is, hey, are they like Boney M? Could these be fronting, like Milli Vanilli be fronting the actual group but not actually sing? That should be one of those that take into consideration. Now, Milli Vanilli could go to the committee and say, yeah, Rob and Fab were actually singing, and flat out lying in that case, and I get it. I totally get it. But still, I don't know if why would this be a surprise or something? It seemed like it was a total shock. And again, I was a little kid. I didn't really follow Milli Vanilli of like all the details. I just knew back then that it was huge news that they lip sync, and they didn't sing on anything, and the Grammys were, pissed, so they wanted their Grammy award back, and that's what happened. And back then, Milli Vanilli had to return the Grammy for Best New Artist. So I'm trying to think of why at that point in time, if Milli Vanilli, from what I understand, admitted yes, Rob and Fab didn't sing on it, but these other artists did, and then maybe kind of reconcile, kind of mediate between the two and say, hey, okay, yeah, Rob and Fab, yeah, they didn't sing, right? But yeah, these are the actual singers. We did create the music. We actually played on all the music and so forth. And Rob and Fab was, technically speaking, still part of the group because, they were right from the beginning on the album covers, music videos, and so forth. And then let me get the actual artist that sang on that album. Let's see. So, if back then, if I went to the committee and said, hey, if I'm Milli Vanilli as a group, as Frank, as the label, I think it's Arista. Yeah, Arista. Yeah, Arista was the label behind it, saying, hey, Milli Vanilli is Robin Fab, Charles Shaw, John Davis, Brad Howe. For some reason, I don't have the other two names. I'm so sorry about that. But and there's two ladies behind it as well. But anyway, so that five plus Robin Fab, this is the real Milli Vanilli. And then if I was the committee, the Grammy committee, hearing about that, should I, hey, okay, if you're telling the truth now, we'll give you back the award, right? I don't know if that was ever the case, or again, I don't know all the details, or maybe they didn't bring everyone up till later, or maybe they did bring everyone up, but the Grammy committee is like, oh, no, just the damage is done. There's no going back. You embarrass everybody, including the Grammys, and you're never ever going to get the award back. I don't know if that's the case, but I think at that time, it's just really heated, and I don't know. It to me, it's they again when I compared to all the candidates for new artists, they deserved it, no doubt about it. But anyway, so we've got 30 years to reflect on this, over 30 years now, looking back. And, they always say, time heals wounds and so forth. And I don't know if the Grammys ever considered within that 30 years so far to ever give back the award to Milli Vanilli. I don't know if Rob and Fab ever, or Milli Vanilli as a team, as a group, including Frank, ever asked for the award back. I don't know, but to me, I think they should get the award back. And there's criteria behind it, which I'll explain. The first one is really, if you think about it at that time, remember I mentioned Boney M. So again, this stuff has been done before. People not singing on the actual songs and they're just fronting it. And I think around that time, and it's the Euro. It's I don't know if it's the Euro thing or whatnot, but there's artists like Technotronic, Black Box. Oh gosh, I have to talk about Black Box sometime. But Black Box, these Euro house, I don't know, Italian house, I don't know what you call them, but all these bands that came out and they were popular and who they were showing on the album covers and the music videos, you can pretty much tell it's not them, right? They're using, from what I understand, models and whatnot, or dancers, and just doing their thing, right? But they're not actually singing. And Black Box is someone I'd like to, again, talk about on a separate thing. But anyway, it seems like it's the norm. I mean, even as a little kid, seeing the music videos, I could tell that this, model, this lady was definitely not the real singer, especially the way they're kind of. I mean, I get it's a video and there's a lot of lip singing anyway to begin with, but you can kind of tell it's not their voice per se. Now, it could be wrong on a lot. I could be wrong on a lot of things from a voice standpoint because, like let's say Technotronic, right? It seems like a guy's voice, even though they're showing a girl singing. And I know there's a lot of female voices that sound, more on the guy type voice. I don't know how to explain it, but sounds like a guy a little bit. I believe it or not, the artist that comes to mind right now is Glorilla. If you heard of her, first song I've heard of her, Tomorrow 2, I think, and I thought it was a guy singing. I don't know, but anyway, so I could be wrong in that aspect, but over time I think everyone knew, including myself, that the ladies that they show for these artists weren't really, so it seems like a regular occurrence back then, and for me, and I think a lot of people could care less. It's just you're there to listen to the music, right? So I think at that time, a lot of people were doing it. I don't know if it's just those from Europe or somewhere that were doing this explicitly, but still, it's I wouldn't say common, but it looks like it was a trend for sure at that time. So Milli Vanilli was part of that trend, and I don't think anyone really complained about it. So that's the thing. Secondly, now going back to the Reggie Bush, okay? Now Reggie Bush, when he won that Heisman Trophy, in my eyes, and I think most people can agree with, he was definitely the best football player in college football that year, and he deserved that purely on merit. Okay, he didn't cheat or anything by any, or I don't know if he was getting paid. I don't know how much. It doesn't seem like a lot, if I recall, but he did get a certain amount that the Heisman committee thought it was unfair. Again, I don't know what kind of advantage that would be, getting paid like that, outside of maybe because he was getting paid. That's why he went to USC. I don't think that was it. I think he was already at USC and got paid, and was getting paid, but he definitely wasn't cheating, like taking steroids or performance enhancing things that made him like the best football player. He wasn't cheating on exams in school, and again, I don't know about the academic stuff, but it didn't seem like it was the case. It was just pure, he was getting paid. That's all. So, and then today, with the NIL, all that going on, whatever he did was like a very small infraction. I mean, if anything, it's almost like a little push. It wasn't like a punch or anything. It was more like a push. And then I think that's why the Heisman, looking back, hey, I think we were off, we were wrong, too tough, I guess. The too tough on the policy, and here you definitely deserve the award, and that's why they returned it back to Reggie Bush, rightfully so. Now with Milli Vanilli, this lip singing thing, okay, they definitely lied, right? They didn't sing, get it? Did they cheat? Did was Here's the thing: did Rob and Fab enhance Milli Vanilli to the point where their music had to be played and they won the Best New Artist Award? I mean, was it because of Rob and Fab that all this happened? I'd say no, and if anything, quite the opposite. And hear me out, hear me out. So with Rob and Fab, you get these two guys on there. Again, I only seen them on the album covers originally, and I didn't think much of them or anything like that. And then when the music videos came out, kind of funny. I didn't have like MTV or anything at home. We didn't have cable or anything like that. I had to go to a friend's house who in the neighborhood. Usually I go there, play video games or something like that, things like that. So, and he would always have the latest games. I would have like the games everyone would have. But anyway, so I would go to my friend's place once in a while, maybe once a week, and it's usually like on a weekend or something like that when we have time. And I would go out, go to his place, play video games. His older sister would seem to always hang around though. I don't know if she's there to babysit us or something. I have no clue, but she seems to always be sitting around. But when she's sitting around, she's not like looking at us per se. She had a TV, and that's where she was watching music videos. Now I'm pretty sure it's MTV. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it's MTV. I don't think it's VH1. I'm not even sure it came out at that time. But anyway, so she would always have MTV on while we're playing video games, right? And with that in mind, you can always hear the music, and sometimes, the hit songs that come out, you always kind of, for me at least, kind of glance because, again, I've never seen these videos or see them frequently because at the household, we don't have cable. But so anyway, what I'm getting at is every time I'm there, it seems like Milli Vanilli pops up because they were, again, popular as heck at that time. And seeing their videos, especially their main one, the very first one, and probably Blame It on the Rain or something, I don't know. But, when I watch the videos, I can't help but noticing how goofy they were. I mean, it was music videos at that time, I think, has progressed enough to be like very good. I mean, okay, so there's Michael Jackson, and you can't really touch, right? Michael Jackson, that's like S tier. Yeah, that's way up there. Okay, that's top of the top. Okay, I'm not saying music videos like Michael Jackson, but you got Janet Jackson that came out, Paul Abdul. There's a lot. Madonna. There's all kinds of music videos that came out around that time that were damn good. Okay, not just the video itself, but definitely the dance choreography for music that's like Milli Vanilli, supposed to be kind of dance music, dance oriented, and there was a lot of good examples of music videos to do. But for some reason, with Milli Vanilli, they're doing quite the opposite. I don't know if it's a budget thing or whatnot, but it's the videos were plain to like just kind of cringy. And what makes it really cringy is the dance that these two guys do. When you see that and you're thinking, what the heck? I mean, if they're trying to advertise these two guys, as the as Milli Vanilli as the front of the group, and thinking that these two guys are gonna make Milli Vanilli like, ooh, you got to listen to him, you got to see him. Just watching the music videos alone, it's just quite the opposite. It's so goofy, and not only that, it's even then I don't know which video, but you can pretty much tell that they weren't the singers. Now, the reason being is there's in some of their songs they have another guy that has like a really deep voice, like really deep, like if you picture incorrectly, politically incorrect, but if I did picture it, it would be this huge, big guy with like a really like I'm gonna that type of voice, like a Luther Vandross voice, but and I'm not saying Luther Vandross is just that type of voice, and there's I don't know if it was Rob or Fab, but he was singing that, and in another video singing a different type of voice, more of a higher voice, or not as deep, I would say. And I remember watching those two videos or kind of relating. I'm like, this guy's that's not him. That's not, I mean, I could tell, right? Now again, I could have been wrong at the time, but I could tell. Hey, one of these is definitely not singing it's not the main singer, or at least singing their part. So, but again, watch that. Outside of the goofiness of their dancing and the choreography and the music videos, I could care less. I didn't matter to me. I at that time, and I'm gonna admit, I liked the music. For the music at that era, the dance stuff that was popular, Milli Vanilli was good, no doubt about it. I mean, I still listen to them, maybe once in a blue moon type thing, but I can still listen to them, and it's for that era. For that year, definitely held up well for that year. Okay, so I'm not gonna expand past that, but so no doubt about it. And going back to the music video, they kind of remind me of, remember a rock guy called Billy Squire? I don't know if you remember him, but he had this video called "Rock with Me" or something like that, and believe it or not, I don't know if that video ruined his career as well, but I don't listen to his music, Billy Squire's music. I do know of him at the time. It's just that genre of music wasn't my thing. But I do know he was pretty popular back then. I'd say like mid 80s ish or something. I didn't know of him till later, till around maybe in the 90s, when I started listening really deep into music. And I'm actually not like a baby or anything, so I'm able to listen to all kinds of music. And I remember seeing this video, and it's one of those things where it just ruins you, right? I mean, whatever image you had before, it's just gone in an instant. And Billy Squires, that video, I didn't know what kind of crowd he was kind of going at. I thought maybe he was gay at that time, but based off the music video, apparently he's not. But sometimes that type of video can kind of give you the wrong image. And again, I don't have anything against it, whether he's gay or not. Didn't matter to me at that time too. You see, like, was it Culture Club and all kinds of stuff with the colors and all that, and I mean, to me it's like whatever, But anyway, going back to Milli Vanilli, we're going 5 years later on. You have a lot of good music videos, and I don't know what they were doing with Rob and Fab doing that dance. If they thought that it was going to help promote Milli Vanilli, that's not it. Again, I think they did the opposite. But anyway, so going back to my original question, did Milli Vanilli, Rob and Fab, cheated cheat their way to make Milli Vanilli who they were from a popular music standpoint, and or just winning outright the Best New Artist Grammy? No, I don't. Definitely not. No, they did not enhance it in any way. If anything, again, I think they made him look a little goofy, and maybe that's why there are a lot of haters, even at that time, because they're kind of polarizing. And I think it was more Rob and Fab rather than the actual music that made them polarizing at that time. But anyway, so I don't think they cheated or whatever they did, they lied, but it didn't help them out. It's like cheating on, like, let's say you're trying to cheat on an exam and you have like answers or something, but you put them all wrong or something like that, and you actually failed the test. I mean, to me, that's what happened with Robin Fab and Milli Vanilli. So anyway, so I don't think they made the group better. I don't think so. So now going to my original question. Should Milli Vanilli get this back, the Grammy for Best New Artist in 1990? And I would have said yes back then and more so now because of the time to think about it and reflect. And no, I'm not talking about a sympathy award. Like, was it Rob that passed? I'm pretty sure Rob was the one who passed away in the 90s. I don't know if it's based off of this directly or whatnot, but he passed away, and then Frank passed away. I'm not sure about the other members of the group, but I'm not talking about a sympathy award at all. I'm talking about, did they still deserve it now as they did back then? And as I try to make a point in this, they deserved it back then. If they weren't lip singing, and or they showed the real artist that sang, to me it would have been the same thing. They would have won the award. That the music was already good. It was really popular, and they should have won the award. Looking at now, if Milli Vanilli as a group, I'm not talking about just Rob and Fab, but if Milli Vanilli comes out and says, hey, it's Rob, Fab, Charles, the other 5 artists that actually sang on Milli Vanilli as a collective, okay? As a collective group. Milli Vanilli. This is Milli Vanilli. Do we give this award back to them? The Best New Artist Award? And I say yes, okay? It's not only fair in the sense that they won the award back then based off just pure musicality and how popular they were from the music standpoint, but I also think it's the right thing to do because you're doing right by the actual singers in Milli Vanilli as well as Rob and Fab. And Rob and Fab, to me, it will always be part of the group. Yes, they didn't sing, they lip synced the whole thing, but they were right there from the start, right? They were on the covers, they were on the music videos, they, whatever concerts they were lip singing. It's them, right? Like Boney M. So to me, they will always be part of the group, and I can never separate the two from Milli Vanilli and vice versa. But anyway, to me, not only would be fair, but it's the right thing to do. And I think it's about time for the Grammys to do right by Milli Vanilli and give that New Artist Award back to each of the singers plus Rob and Fab. That's how I feel about that, and I don't know if you do or not, but I think it's the time. It's the right time. It's the right time. I think it's actually long past overdue. They should have gotten the award back around that time if everything was explained correctly between the two. No hard feelings, that type of thing. But I think now's the time. You see the Heisman do it. It's just, it's the right thing to do. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I didn't bring up some nightmares of based off Milli Vanilli, but I did like the group no matter what, and I could care less if they sang or not. It didn't matter. And I, just looking back, seeing everything as a whole, you got 30 plus years to reflect. They definitely deserve that award. No doubt about it. Thank you.